So I'm here with Carson Kaler, and Carson, you're a little bit younger. Typically, the guys my age are considered the younger farmers, but you're a younger farmer, and I really like what you're doing. I think your story is a really good one, and it's similar in way to mine. I think I can relate to what you're doing. So first off, we should say you do have a YouTube channel.
I do, yes. It's called the 6th Gen Farmer.
Okay.
Yep. And also on TikTok and Instagram and everywhere else too.
So you are 6th generation of your family to farm.
Correct. But it's a little bit of a complicated backstory. So when I was a kid, farming with my dad and my uncle, farmed probably about 6,000 acres up through high school to early college. And then
you're in far southern Minnesota.
Far southern Minnesota.
Big fields.
Yep, big square fields. And when I was probably about halfway through college, my dad was starting to bring his kids back. My uncle started to bring his kids back. We've got so many people in our family operation that we knew that if we wanted to be successful, it was probably time to split. So we split between my dad and my uncle. Very friendly, happy. We still talk today, still help each other out a little bit. And then after I graduated college, I came back home and farmed with my dad and my brother for 2 years. And then I decided that I wanted to actually go out and start farming on my own. So now this is my second year. This will be my second crop farming on my own now.
Okay.
Yep.
So, in your story, it's not a pet peeve of mine in agriculture today, but I feel like there isn't enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel too many guys, being part of the family farm can be a blessing and a curse.
Absolutely. Yes.
I feel too many guys my age missed a lot of opportunity because they were going to get the family farm. They just figured, okay, well, I'll get the family farm, so they sat on their hands. Maybe they bought toys, they did this or that, and became a hired man for the farm.
Yep.
And missed a tremendous, that chance to go on your own.
Yep.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a legacy for your family and to pass things on, but as we continue to drive farm values up super high, I feel like we're actually hurting the chances of continuing these family operations because you can't split it up and keep it working, and it's too expensive if you have 3 kids and one of them wants to farm.
Well, one's more involved than the other ones are, and
yeah, they could have you have a 1/3 down payment to buy out the other 2, and that's not enough to pay for it anymore.
Yep.
I feel like being independent and going on your own is one of those things that we probably should have had more of in agriculture. And maybe people wouldn't be as worried about, transition stuff and that if everybody you pick up and, I always say I'm a 5th generation farmer, but I'm on a 1st generation farm.
Yeah.
And I take pride in that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So you're doing corn and beans.
Yep. And I do a little bit of organic as well.
Okay.
So I do the corn and beans on my own, and then my dad, brother, and I am a little, like 25% of our 500-acre organic farm.
Okay.
Yep.
Which, smaller farmer, you're gonna have to do some stuff.
Absolutely.
Different.
Yes. Yep. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I see young farmers making the mistake on today is they just try and copy everyone else. And I don't think that works on a small, trying to copy what the bigger scale guys are doing on a smaller scale. I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
I hear a lot of times, like I've gotten on GMO crops, and I've had people say, "Oh, that's just to deal with that or too much work, this or that." I mean, I clean my sprayer out between crops a lot.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time cleaning out my sprayer. Well, with less acres, it's one of those things you're going to have to do. Because if it's easy, that takes the margin out of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's like anything. You can, if it's super easy to do, it's going to be cheap.
Yep.
So yeah, adding the organics in there, I think that's a really good thing. And organic is, I always laugh when somebody's like, "Well, I run X number of acres. The X number of acres makes it so you're, But if you look at the inputs and the labor required per acre on your organics, it's higher. It's more hours on equipment,
Absolutely.
et cetera. So you're farming just as much or more a lot of times, even though you're farming less acres. And I think that's, people just need to look at that.
Yeah.
But it's, can't brag as much about your organic yields as
Nope,
you can
you
about,
can't.
you know.
Nope. And there's nothing all that glamorous about row crop cultivators either. You can't.
It's not See and Spray.
No, it's not.
You know. Although Salford has that really cool
They
row
do.
crop
It
cultivator.
is really cool. Yep.
I'm excited about that.
Yep.
But I'd like to transition a little bit to organic, and there's some real opportunity there, I think. Whether you feel that there's a health benefit to it or not,
Yep.
you need to look at it as a farmer from an
Absolutely.
economic
You got to look at it as a. I mean, you got to run your farm as a business.
Right.
You know, what makes sense for the business.
Right. Yep.
And, yeah, and a couple of years ago, we were looking at the organic, going, man, we should really get out of this. When corn was $7, and
Right.
and now that corn is around $4, and organic corn's 10, 11. Well, now we're kind of looking the opposite way. So,
Well, and if, as you had more family members coming into the farm operation, you needed something.
Yep. We needed something different. And a big part of it, too, is that, my dad's been farming since he was 7.
Right.
And it was something different for him. And he really enjoyed that, too.
Yep.
He wasn't spraying anymore, getting out of the sprayer and cleaning his tanks all day. He kind of took care of the organic when we first started it, and he really enjoyed it. It was just something different, something that broke the cycle of what he was doing.
And, I guess you could say with doing that, like the organics, probably took him back a little bit, because.
Yep. He grew up on a 30-20 from 8-row cultivator.
Yeah.
I mean, sat in the fender. So.
Yeah, Roundup Ready really didn't become a thing until the mid to late 90s. And prior to that, even though we sprayed, we usually ended up cultivating too.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't going to just get by with atrazine and, that was it. But I could see where that would, really enjoy that. So the organic, where's your market for organics?
There's a couple of them around. We haul all of ours down to Dakota City, Nebraska.
Okay.
Yep. So it's a couple-hour drive.
So the Lakeside Foods, maybe? Does that sound?
I think it's maybe Seneca.
Okay, that sounds right. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Seneca.
They're probably out of the Owatonna area.
Okay.
I
I
think.
guess I'm not even 100% sure. It works pretty good because it helps break up the weed cycle. Corn and soybeans you cultivate and you harvest in the fall, and now you can actually break up the weed cycle midsummer.
Yeah.
And this year we actually tried to plant double crop soybeans into it.
Okay.
So it's a little dry for that, but they mostly came up. So I guess we're going to see whether they're 10 bushel beans or 40 bushel beans. I have no idea what'll happen, but.
And 10 bushel beans organic, can you save some of your organic
Oh boy.
beans back for seed?
You probably could.
So
I mean, they're non-GMO organic. I mean, I can't see why not.
yeah,
That's something I never even thought of, but.
because if that keeps your seed costs down, then you don't need as much return.
Yeah. The only problem is that these are like 007s.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, you're not probably.
yeah, which they're not a main.
You're probably
Wouldn't plant them in the spring.
high group 1 to high group 2s are typically what you're planting.
Yeah. Yeah, one 3, like on the conventional, on the regular side, like
Yep.
1 3s to 2 4s.
Okay.
It's kind of the range.
Which I'm guessing on the organics, you're probably
Usually-
planting a little bit later than you
Yep.
would be your,
Yep.
I'm assuming you're planting some beans in April on the conventional side.
Yep.
We're on the
yeah,
organic side.
we usually wait till May.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. You want the crop to take off before the weeds.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you can get the first flush of weeds out before you plant.
okay.
Yep. And then also that way you don't have any cross pollination or anything else that could ruin the integrity of the organic.
Yep.
Yep.
And
Which
I had-
that's more of a deal in corn than beans, obviously.
yeah,
But
yeah, and pollen going
Yep.
over. But I had friends that did organics years ago. They would rotary hoe before it was up, and then they would cultivate blind. Do you guys do that, like rolling shields on the cultivator?
So we don't cultivate blind, but we rotary hoe, and then we have we have 2 tine weeders. We got a long tooth tine weeder and a short tooth tine weeder. We have found those to be really effective early season.
Okay.
In fact, actually, lots of times we'll actually go at an angle right after planting.
Yep.
and tine-weed before it comes up.
Interesting.
Yep.
Are you seeing, what do you use for fertilizer? Are you buying like manure?
It's almost all hog manure, hog and
Okay.
chicken manure. Yep.
Which you don't have to have organic hogs for the manure. Like any of the manure is okay, right?
So once again, my brother takes care of that. So
Okay.
not for sure.
I thought
Yeah.
I think that changed at one point. At one point
I don't know for sure, but yeah, I mean, you have, when you're organic, you have a certifier.
Yep.
And
Oh, yeah.
everything needs to go through them.
Yep.
So,
Have you seen, so with all the tillage, which you guys were in an area that's kind of known for tillage
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
It's black in your area.
Yep.
But did it change any of your organic matter levels on your soil? Has it changed with intense?
not really. We're a heavy enough soil.
Okay.
It doesn't matter too much. On the conventional side, I've actually switched over to strip tillage myself.
Yep.
Last year, I was actually on one of the organic fields. We had a really windy day, late winter, early spring. And I was out with a 4230 in the field cultivator, making strips in the field to keep from blowing away. And I'm like, I'm doing tillage to help prevent something that was caused by tillage.
Right.
I'm just sitting here looking at this like, oh my gosh, I want to try something different.
Yep.
So on the organic side, we're still full tillage. You almost have to be.
You moldboard plow?
We don't have one yet.
Okay.
We're looking at them though,
Okay.
especially for spots. If you have like bad grass spots and stuff, you could
Right.
get that underneath the
Absolutely.
ground.
Yeah. Then you need a disc, because if you field cultivate that, then afterwards, then you're just throwing grass everywhere.
Yep.
But so a lot of doing the cultivation blind. You guys aren't doing that.
Yep. No.
But how many times in season are you cultivating?
Corn usually twice. Soybeans we can hit 3 times.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, because we got our main cultivator is a 60-foot 856 John Deere triple shank.
Okay.
So that's what we use for early mid-season, and then we do have a B&H 60-footer single shank. So we can hit the soybeans late with that.
So 24 roll.
30-inch.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. What are you pulling that with?
So an 8410T,
Yep.
and I have a Challenger 765.
Okay.
Yep. Challenger's a little more beefy to handle the extra weight a little bit, but the 8410 with the lift assist on the cultivator,
Yep.
it handles it okay.
All right.
Yep.
Is that a sweep or is that like a Danish tooth?
Sweep.
It is.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because you want to move a lot of
Yeah.
dirt.
Yep.
When you're
Then we
doing
got
it.
then we got the finger weeders behind as well.
Oh, okay.
Yep. The little rubber fingers that kind of
Yep.
move the dirt in between
Yep.
the corn plants and soybean plants.
Do you run rolling shields early at all?
We don't
or-
run any rolling shields.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad. I know I'm too young to experience the old days of cultivating, but my dad said I hated them then. I hate them now. Now it's
Well,
kinda-
yeah. I understand.
Yeah.
So.
But the nice thing is that at 60 foot, even if you're going 1.5 miles or 2 miles per hour, you're still getting something done.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that's
Are you-
kind of the.
Are you running guidance then?
Yep.
Which makes it a lot.
It makes the way. Yeah, I can watch Netflix when I'm doing it.
Okay. So you're running RTK then, I'm assuming?
RTK, John Deere AutoPath.
Okay.
Yep.
That helps.
It helps a lot.
Yeah. In the old days, it'd be, yeah.
Yeah, you don't want a 60-foot cultivator, 60-foot iron blight.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah. So you go on your own.
Yep.
Were you like, I want my own equipment too?
Yeah, that was kind of the so when I first sat down with my dad, I said, I'm not really happy with the way things are working out here, and I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but end of this year I'm gonna be done. And about 2 days later, he's like, have you thought about what you're gonna do? I said, yeah, I'm gonna keep farming. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I have a little bit of land bought. Grandpa will rent me a little bit, and I'm gonna farm. And he said, well, what? He's like, well, what are you gonna do for equipment? He said, if you borrow ours, we might as well farm together. I said, no, I'm gonna get my own line of equipment. And he was just baffled. He didn't think that for 220 acres you'd be able to buy a line of equipment. But it's actually not that hard.
No equipment. And that was one of the things I noticed, that you'd done some videos on your 8820
Yep.
John Deere combine. And I like what you're doing there with that, because we look at antique equipment. Basically we've been heavily mechanized in agriculture since
absolutely.
the late 1800s.
Yep.
There's nothing from the 1800s you're going to take to the field and
No.
use. And in the let's just say, post World War II was a big boom as far as mechanization. World War II kicked the horse off the farm, and we went to tractors.
Yep.
You weren't using 30-year-old equipment in 1943.
Yeah.
You know, that you just weren't. And 30 years after 1943, you're in 1973. That 1940s equipment was probably too old. But we've been relatively big. We haven't changed the way we're farming that much in the last 30 years. So 30-year-old equipment is very capable.
Yeah, very capable. Yeah, I mean, even, 8820, that's, it's a 1980 model, so it's 46 years old now.
Right.
I mean, even look at, you talk about the John Deere 8000s all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, every tractor since the 8000s has basically been a refresh of the 8000s.
Yeah.
I mean, for the fact that we can take that 8410T, throw the newest monitor in it, and run AutoPath.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no reason to run anything else.
And hydraulic-wise, you don't need...
Unless you're running the newest planter, you really don't...
And even then, PTO pumps, do whatever, there's ways around it. So the equipment thing isn't as expensive as everybody thinks. Now, if you're used to having brand new machinery, yes, you look at equipment costs today and go, wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But an 8820 hasn't changed in value in 15, 20 years.
No, and the thing is too is that, like I grew up with all new equipment. I mean, up until we were trading tractors every year until 2010, basically.
Yep.
The last new tractor we ever bought on, the family farm was a 2010 8220R.
Yep.
But, always had 1-year-old, 2-year-old equipment, S770 high-speed planter. So I went from an S770 high-speed 24-row planter, all R-series tractors, to an 8820, a John Deere 7300 12-row box planter, and I enjoy it just as much, or probably more, than I do running the new equipment.
Have you done any side-by-side yield-wise with the newer stuff to see?
I have not done. I really want to do one with the planter. I really want my brother someday to leave a 24-row gap and me go plant, 2 passes of my planter. Yep. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But last year, when I was talking, after I finished harvesting my crops, I called a couple neighbors that I know are really good farmers and I really trust. And I didn't ask them what theirs yielded, but I kind of poked a little bit. And we were within a bushel of each other.
Right.
I mean, and the other thing too is that the 8820, those things have such a clean grain sample.
I actually knew guys that had red combines that actually bought an older Deere back for some instances, especially like soybeans.
Yep.
They said they had 9600.
Yeah.
He said that 9600 will just eat beans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not that there's anything wrong with the red ones, but this older stuff is just fine. And I mean, an 8820 is very capable. So yes, today's yields are higher than they were in 1980, but you got to remember the 8820 was designed originally for a 12-row head.
Yep. Yeah, so you throw a 6 or 8 row on it, even 250 bushel corn,
it's fine.
Oh, it's just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not putting it out the bag.
No.
You're not. And the parts availability, the salvage yard parts availability is good.
I've been using a lot of aftermarket stuff.
Yeah.
That Shoop, Abilene Machine, a lot of them have the main wear components for these combines.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because
in fact, the feeder house is getting rebuilt on it right now. I have it's a brand new aftermarket feeder house conveyor chain. It's like $700 some bucks.
Yeah. Now, if your X9 feeder house chain goes down, it's probably into the multiple thousands.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So if you can keep your equipment, so let's just say, I mean, you've got 2 tractors and then a combine.
Mm-hmm.
You got some tillage equipment.
Just a strip till bar.
Okay.
That's it.
But if you take your line of equipment and the value of it,
mm-hmm.
and then the depreciation,
yeah,
which there's very little depreciation on
extremely little.
And actually, in some instances, some of that stuff there's appreciation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But and then you put that on a cost per acre, and then you start to see where a smaller farm with keeping your costs in line is very, very, competitive.
Yeah.
And the advantage you've got is you can probably, being you get along with your family, you can negotiate input prices with those guys.
Yep.
So you're getting that volume advantage.
Yep.
But yet your equipment costs are probably as low as theirs or lower.
Lower. So at the end of the year, my farm manager gives out this little book with equipment costs per acre, just kind of, no names or anything, just across the people that he does. He averages everything out, and I'm at the lower end of it.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yep.
The only thing that would make it run is if you jumped up your acres to 600 acres and spread that. You wouldn't have to upgrade equipment.
No, that's the thing too. I think I could easily farm 600 to 700, 800, 900 acres with the 8820 easily. My Challenger tractor is a very capable tractor. Don't have to worry about that. 12-row planter. I know a guy that farms 1,500 acres with a 12-row planter.
Right.
Yeah, it works fine.
Yeah. And you can take an old planter, and I mean, the aftermarket stuff for planters is crazy.
Absolutely. I mean, my old 7300, I just got precision E-sets on it. Does a great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Yeah.
I mean,
and especially if you're doing a fair amount of tillage, or the strip till is basically like you're doing tillage when it comes to planting.
I think the strip till planting conditions are better than full tillage.
Probably.
The soil seems more mellow.
It's probably settled more too.
Yep. It seems like I'm never fighting seed to soil contact in strip till.
Well, because you're basically planting into tilled ground that's warmed up and everything, where when you're doing tillage in the spring, you're taking cool ground and then trying to warm it back up. Your strips are basically getting that heat from being tilled.
Yep.
So I think that works pretty good. But if you're going into tilled ground, you don't need all that much for planter attachment.
No,
I always laugh. Guys are like, well, we need downforce, we need this, we need that.
I got a good story about a 7,000 pickup planter. So I have a little 4-row, use it for replanting holes.
Yep.
And it was a 4-H project when I was a kid. My grandpa bought me a little Ford 1720 tractor, got me a little 4-row planter, and when I was a young teenager, that was kind of what I did in the spring. I'd go replant wet holes. And there was one time, there was a pretty big wet hole, and my dad didn't want me messing around the farm all day, so he sent me out there for 4-row, and I planted corn. And I did a really good job. I tried to keep, in the rows, make it look like it wasn't replanted. And the corn that came up from that 7,000 pickup planter the spacing was so perfect that when you're looking perpendicular to it, it looked like you were looking down rows.
Really?
Yeah, and I had neighbors call and ask what in the heck happened there. Why is that corn space so perfect? I'm like, it's just 13-year-old Carson out with his 7,000 pickup planter.
If your chains are good and your bearings are good, they'll just plant.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have GPS go down, you can have electrical completely go out.
Yep.
But if those sprockets are turning, it's putting seed in the ground. And I've had people even say, well, accuracy is better, etc., with a high speed, with a vac or whatever. And I go, I'm looking at my population and I'm running radar.
Yep.
Radar is more accurate. People don't realize that radar is more accurate than GPS.
Yep.
It's like, so if I can, figure it out my population off of radar, I'm looking at where I'm setting my population and what I'm planting. And I've been through fields that have been done with the latest and greatest planters, and I'm not seeing the advantage there. Now, if you say, all right, go out and plant at 11 miles an hour.
Yep.
Okay, my finger pickup is not going to be as accurate as that, but for the cost of the planter, you can go a little slower. You can go bigger on your planter. And that's a pet peeve. Your smaller acres, I've heard people say, I've heard old rules of thumbs from old farmers where they're like, well, if you don't have X number. It was 100 acres a row or something is what they used to say. And I'm like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, because you can buy a 12-row corn planter nowadays so cheap.
Yep.
You know,
I mean, even if you were to upgrade, like the price difference between a 16 and 24, basically negligible.
right.
So.
Yeah, because there's too many guys that are like, well, I need a 16-row. So I'm going to, we're older 24 rows are they're getting cheap.
Yeah,
I watched
very cheap.
I watched a Kinsey 24-row box planter sell this spring for food plot planter money damn near. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like, well, the guys that want 24 rows, they got to have the newest, the latest, the greatest. And it's like, well, maybe you're that 8-row guy and you got enough horsepower laying around.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yep. Yeah. Get home a little sooner at night.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life. And
yeah. I think equipment costs, people love to complain about equipment costs, and I totally get it.
Yep.
But if you really sit down and go, can we do this cheaper? I think you can.
Absolutely.
And, there's a lot of things like that could be, and I think, I say a lot going forward for smaller farmers, I think co-ops need to change. I think you need to bring back smaller co-ops. But in your case, you're kind of farming like a co-op. Your dad and your brother, and I'm assuming your uncles, you guys can all negotiate those seed. You could say, well, you're going to give us a price for seed for all of us.
Yep.
Yep. So that you're kind of working that already. So at first, was your dad real leery?
Oh, he was extremely leery. He didn't know how I was going to make it work. And he was just bummed out in general that his son was leaving, to go on his own. But I think now sometimes he looks at what I'm doing and kind of wishes that he was in a similar situation. He looks at the older equipment and not having to deal with all these, no equipment payments, no interest. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's so much simpler. And I think he looks at the simplicity of what I'm doing and is a little envy of it sometimes.
Well, and he's got to have some pride in the fact that you're like, you know what, and that used to be a common thing. That was pretty common, where it's like, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. And, say the home farm was, a couple hundred acres and there was 2 boys. Well, obviously there wasn't enough.
Yep.
And so it was real common. You could share equipment, you could do whatever, but yeah, you do your own thing. And I think that's good. Your plans going forward now. So you have another side hustle too. You're doing a lot of GPS stuff too.
So I'm doing the social media stuff, and I'm a dealer for a company called AgriGPS. So selling a lot of GPS equipment, and then I'm also just picked up a Libre cart dealership as well.
Okay.
So people retrofitting their old grain carts and being able to track every bushel that comes off their farm.
Okay.
So that helps a lot too.
Yep. Do you want to divert some of that side income? I'm assuming you want to buy land.
I want to buy land. Yeah, absolutely. That's my goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we were talking about that earlier. Let's just say you decide you want to grow your farm a lot. If you, with today's environment of high rents, I mean, people always talk about land costs is too expensive to buy, and it is.
Yep.
But renting land isn't cheap either.
No, not at all.
And the overhead that comes with that to expand your operation like that, you tie up so many dollars into that, and so much debt load that it's like, well, maybe I'm better off smaller, buy some land. Like, I mean, it's hard to just buy it all and start. Like, you can't just buy land and then start. I mean, you need something to get going.
Yep.
But I think the land isn't as expensive as people think if they look at the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
They're thinking, well, I can't buy land and farm, 2,000 acres. Right. You can't, but, you can you can buy an 80.
Yep.
You can, and get started, and you got that 80 and you get equity in that 80. Now you roll that into 160.
Yep.
And, that's how it works. But too many people are like, it's just too expensive, I'm out.
Yep. No, and I've been really lucky too. My grandpa sold me my first 40.
Okay.
Cheaper than it was worth.
Yep.
But he wanted to see me get started.
Yep.
So he sold me my first 40, And then just a couple of years ago, I took advantage of the Young Farmers Program
Yep.
and bought an 80.
Yep.
So and that's, this will be my second year on the 80. Fourth year on the 40, I think. I'm trying to remember. I think the fourth year. And now I'm in a position, where with the farming and my other off-farm income, I'm kind of looking at trying to get another 40 here
Okay.
next year or two.
Do you have any grain storage or anything on your own?
So we have an old, I don't want to say abandoned because it's not abandoned, but when in the late 90s, my dad and my uncle, my grandpa kind of moved the whole farm setup.
Yep.
So they bought an old train elevator and they've done a ton of work to it since. And so that's where my dad and my brother store all their bushels. But the original family grain site is still operational.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I've been storing my stuff. So it's duct tape, patching some holes here
Yep.
and there, but it is grain storage.
Yeah.
So it's slow, but it works. And you look at the price of building a new grain bin. If I can spend if I can spend some money, fixing this up every year, and when the duct tape comes out, just make sure it's not too lumpy. You want to have good craftsmanship.
Right.
but-
Right. Well, and a lot of that, they're just like the combine parts. That stuff is available.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And I mean, it's
Yep.
just work. That's
Replace some auger flighting, and put some poly down, a couple of U-troughs.
yeah,
Make it work. Get it through another season.
yeah. And that's farming.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
if you want it, you make it work. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that stuff that's underutilized.
Mm-hmm.
Because as farms have consolidated, it's like these smaller farmsteads.
They don't want a 15,000 bushel bin.
Right.
Yeah.
But a 15,000 bushel bin works really good for you.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's amazing how many 10 to 20 bushel bins have been tore down.
Yeah.
In our area in the last 20 years
Yep.
to build 80, 100,000 bushel bins.
Yep. So when you look at the acres, I don't think people need the acres they think they do.
I don't think they
sometimes
do
to
either.
farm.
No.
I say a lot of times there's guys out there that would make more money farming less ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
So let me ask you this: how much of it do you think is just people wanting to keep up with the Joneses?
I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I think it's brainwashing too. They've been told if you're not growing, you're going backwards. And I say that all the time. You don't have to add any acres to grow your farm.
Mm-hmm.
We grow our yields.
Yep.
We grow diversity in our farm. I want to capture more return than, that's growing your farm too without adding any acres.
Yeah. And that's kind of like even on my farm. What I really enjoy is I want to grow the same crop as everyone else for less.
Yeah.
That's kind of the fun challenge that I really enjoy doing.
One as a smaller farmer, there's bigger return. Let's just say you've got a hole out in a field somewhere. If you're farming 5,000 acres, you don't have time to piss with that, and it ain't. Who cares?
Yep.
But if you're farming 200, you're like, well, I could fix that, and I got an extra acre of cropland
Yep.
that's very fertile. So if you had 200 acres and it was a 1 acre hole out in your field, that's half a percentage of your acres that was a zero.
Yep.
So if you add that back up to your APH, think what that does overall to your production.
Yep.
It's the little things like that, and you'll have the time.
Yeah.
When you're like, okay, we got 5,000 acres, that by the time we start harvest in the fall and it's done, we're froze up and everything's done for the year. You're like, okay, I'm gonna work on these projects.
Yep.
I'm gonna, put the organic peas. So now in the middle of summer, I can go work on. Yeah.
I mean, I just laugh too and my dad will find this very funny. We're going to use their high-speed planter to plant the beans, but the tractor they typically use for planting the bean, or for the tractor they used for that planter, was in the shop, and it took us 45 minutes to get their planter moved. Trying to find a tractor with the right hookups, and then we had to get a monitor because the full box is now on Isobus, so we had to go steal a monitor out of something else, and then it was an absolute pain. Took 45 minutes to move their planter out of the way. I backed the 8410T up to my 3-point planter, lifted it up, drove out.
Yeah.
Now, so even when you talk about your whole analogy, if the 12-row planter, I just go replant it.
Right.
With a 24-row or anything else, it's cumbersome.
Right. Yeah, I mean, size your equipment.
Yep.
And let's just say there is a yield bump on a new combine and a new planter.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say there's a yield bump there. Will it pay though?
How long will it take it? Yeah. Will the increase pay your depreciation? Will it pay your interest on
Right.
your equipment loan? Yeah.
So it's like if it's a net loss, it's like, oh, a draper head versus an auger head, I can get, a bushel better out of this. Okay,
Yep.
That's fine. So you got a bushel at $12 a bushel. It's like, but that new draper head cost, say $130,000 at
Yep.
7% interest, and you're like, run across the acres of your soybeans, and it's like, you haven't even factored depreciation into it, and it's like, well, to get a return, we got to have 2.5 bushel. You're getting a bushel, so
Yep.
you're saving beans, but it's not enough to pay for it.
Yep.
Too many people get hung up on stuff like that, and I think as being small, you can slow down.
Yep. Absolutely.
And speed is a lot of, the poor job.
Yeah. I mean, when I was trying to plant 4,000 acres a year, I screwed up way more
Right.
than I do now.
Yeah.
No, now if there's something that's challenging or I'm not quite sure how I'm going to accomplish something, I just stop and take 2 or 3 minutes.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah. I think, and I always say too, so if you want to make a living full-time farm, step one, the gross income of your farm operation. Could you live on that? So let's just say you wanted to do backyard, whatever, geese. You're going to have some geese.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, so I'm going to have 300 geese that I'm going to sell for, I don't know, $10.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, well, I can't make a living on $3,000, but even you start out with 250 acres, right?
220.
220.
Yep.
Okay. So 220 acres, it's like, well, you're looking at revenue on corn probably in that $1,000 an acre. And if you're 50-50 on beans, and let's just say 50 bushel beans at, $600
Yep.
on the beans, it's like, oh, well, yeah, we can work from there,
Yep.
And obviously you have expenses, but it's like you can work from that point.
Yep.
And it's like, well then, okay, I need to get as much return off of these acres as I can because I'm limited on my acres. So let's move that needle, rather than just and I always kind of laugh when they're talking about. You'll always see this, this study comes out from university wherever. It's a U of M, it's Purdue, it's whatever, and they go, we're projecting a loss of, and it'll be some crazy number, $600 an acre on corn this year or whatever. And it's like, well, if that's really true, you're way better off with 220 acres than you are with 2,200 acres.
Yep.
So I think, you need X number of acres as baseline.
Yep.
But too many people forget about there's other ways to grow your farm than to just physically grow your farm.
Yeah. I mean, even my situation, when I first started, when I first went off my own, I said, okay, well, I'm making enough money from the YouTube, I'm making enough money from my sales and GPS equipment. I said, I'm going to I can treat the farm kind of as a hobby. It kind of feeds the YouTube feeds the AgriGPS, kind of a nice circle. But now after a year, I'm kind of looking at it going, this is actually more profitable than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I was looking at it through the lens of a big farmer, right?
Yeah.
And now that I'm actually doing this, and I look at my equipment costs, I look at my seed and chemical costs, and I'm really looking at going, I think I can.
You were looking at it like, okay, so we're farming thousands of acres, and our margin is, let's just say $50 as an arbitrary number, and you're like, wow, 220 acres at $50.
I'm like, man, on a good year, I'm gonna be making $8,000. I can't live off that, or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, now I'm actually doing it. I'm like, this is actually a little more feasible than I thought it was. I think it's actually easier.
Yeah, because now you're looking at, instead of that $50 an acre capture, it's 150, it's 200, and you're like, oh no, wait a minute, let's,
Yep.
you know, and I think more people could do that. So let's just say you're farming, you know, say you own 400 acres and you're renting another 400.
Yep.
And you want to add another 500 acres to that. That's like, well, the only way we can gain this 500 acres, we're going to have to bid the ground up, etc. Profit margin goes away, but we're running more acres, so that means we can justify better equipment, etc.
Yep.
You're going backwards by renting that extra ground. You know, and in some instances, you might even be, it might cost you money with the ground you own to pay for some of the other rented ground. And you know, too, now owning land, so when it comes time to fertilize, lime, etc., it's easier to spend that money on the ground you own.
Absolutely. Yep.
You know, you're like, boy, we could
Tile
just,
projects
yes,
and everything else. Yeah.
Yep. You're like, boy, we could use just a little more tile here.
Yep.
It's a lot easier when it's your own land and you, so it's like, okay, I'm going to get that return back, you know, and before you know it. And the thing about buying land, in my experience, is it's too expensive. It's always too expensive when you buy it. 5 years later, that expense just becomes part of, you know, what you're doing. And if you buy another piece of land with the two other pieces you have, if you refinance that, your land cost per acre on that new land might not even be as high as, you know, it won't go up exponentially. And I actually saw that at one point. I remember buying the first piece of ground that I actually, when I purchased it, rolled it in with some other ground. I went, I just bought this ground for less than what the rent, the increase in the land payment, not interest and principal, just the total payment was way less than what I could have rented that land for. It's like, oh, well, that works, you know.
Yeah.
And if you own that land, then down the road you get it paid for. Now you're paying yourself that rent back too. And it's like, wow. So now your 220 acres, let's just say, and I'm guessing on your area, it's 300-400 rent.
Yeah, low, mid threes. Yep.
Yeah. So now 220 acres, add yourself a $350 an acre back to that, and it's like, wow, okay.
Yep.
So now you're looking at $600-700 an acre, and it's like, well, we're living quite well on that. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, bigger's fine, but generally bigger is smaller margin.
Yeah.
And that's no different than, you know, a trucking company. If you look at a massive trucking company, they're running thousands and thousands of trucks on the road. They're not making as much money as that one guy who drives his own truck.
Yep. Drives his own truck, fixes his own truck.
Yep. It's no different than that. It's, you know, there's companies that are really, really big. And I worked for a big company years ago, and I was like, I guess I went full-time when I was 24, but I remember that company, I always said they made money in spite of themselves because it was too big that no one paid attention to what was really going on.
Yep.
It was just too big. And they'd be like, we're not making enough money. They'd raise the cost of their product is what they did, you know, where, you know, being small, you know exactly what's going on. And you're not sending an employee out to do this tillage, and it's like, oh, hey, there's a tile hole over there that the employee doesn't pay any attention to. And you are. You see that. You know it's there. You know. So you're doing just a little bit better job. You're always going to do a better job than you can hire somebody to do. You know, assuming it's a job you can do. Now, if you don't have a skill to do something, yes, hire an expert. But, you know, in general, if it's something that you're capable of doing, you're going to do a better job than somebody you hire to do that job because you have an interest in that.
Yeah, I mean, it is your passion.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you enjoy farming more now for yourself?
I enjoy it way more. And the funny thing is I enjoy different parts of it than I used to. I used to enjoy the operating of equipment, but I hated the managing. I didn't want to do anything with seed or managing the grain or any of that. I just want to run the equipment. Now that I'm on my own, I enjoy the managing. I enjoy the buying the seed. I enjoy the fertilizer. I enjoy
Yep.
the logistics of it.
Yep.
Way more than I do actually operating the equipment now.
Yep. I can see that because, well, and when you're part of a larger operation, yeah, it's yours, but it's not.
Yeah. Yep.
Where this is, it's your,
Yeah. This is my livelihood.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you can probably see, I mean, you're in real time, you're getting that.
Yep.
And so what, your dream equipment upgrades, I mean, what do you want for,
I mean, honestly, I want to run the 8820 as long as I possibly can. I just love that combine. Even if I do upgrade combine someday, that one's gonna be sitting in the shed somewhere. That one's not leaving. Honestly, in terms of equipment, I got my Challenger. It's a pretty nice tractor. I'd love to have an 8000 someday.
Yep.
Maybe an early R, like a 2010, 2009 R. Beyond that, I don't think they've really improved much since then. I think that was kind of the peak of the John Deere.
yeah, that was my feeling when I bought my 8225R. That's why I wanted one of them.
Yep.
Was I was like, okay, the R cab is really nice.
Yep, very nice.
But they haven't gained much
No.
from there.
No.
You know.
And the beauty of it too is that you can take a 20-year-old tractor and put the new technology in it, like we talked about earlier. So that'd kind of be the tractor side. Combine someday, maybe get a early rotor 9660 or 9670. Be kind of a nice upgrade someday in the future if I can't run the 8820 anymore, or even an early case like an 8120.
Yep.
Really nice combines.
It's funny with the combine thing. Like any combine to me was cool because it's part of the season.
Yep.
So I just I don't know. I just kind of enjoy any combine.
Yep.
And the thing with the combine, I had a guy on social media one time that was trying to big time me because I had a 9510 and he was like, he was a part owner. It was family, so there was multiple family. He was a part owner of a 9660, and I just laughed. I'm like, they're both old combines.
Yeah. There's nothing new about a 9660 either.
And you can have a 9660 that's worn out, and you can have a 9510 that's completely rebuilt.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is when I was looking at my dad thought I was nuts for going for an 8820, and he says, you're going to be spending probably $2,000 to $3,000 on that a year. I'm like, well, if you buy 9660, you might be spending $10,000 on that a year in repairs. I mean, just because typically the bigger the combine, the more parts get physically bigger.
Yes, and there's so much aftermarket. There's been so much aftermarket for so long.
Yep.
The price on the aftermarket is cheap. Where on the newer rotor combines, the aftermarket stuff is still, the OEM stuff is so expensive that brings up the price of the aftermarket. So yeah, the older combine is cheaper to run in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And simplicity as far as yes, there's parts on a combine. It doesn't matter how great you are as far as maintenance.
There's stuff that wears out.
Yeah,
you're putting
wear things
straw
out.
and grain through it. It's gonna.
But on the drivetrain side of it, an older mechanical combine like that, an injector for an 8820 is a fraction of the cost.
Oh yeah.
And there's no programming when you put that injector in. There's no.
Yeah, and even the older combine, like for a couple grand, I put an auto steer kit on it. I have an aftermarket yield monitor, a yield sensor, and a moisture sensor. And I can go, like when we're combining the organic, I can drive in the same field as my dad, his S770, and we can share yield data in real time between the two combines. Like it's the amount of technology that you can put in older equipment now, fairly cheap, to give you some of that extra, that data or that stuff that does provide value to farmers is incredibly easy.
Is your dad ran the 8820?
So he rode with me for a little bit last year. He hasn't ran it yet. This year I want him to get him to run it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I'm actually running out of storage of all things, but thank you very much for sitting down. It's a great.
We got to get to the hotel anyways. So.
Yeah, it's a great, I think, example of what you're doing. What is a feasible. This isn't just a hobby.
Yeah.
Like
I said, mindset changed. When I started, I thought it was, but it's not.
Yeah, I think this is a viable way for a lot of people to farm.
Yep.
I think too many people are hung up on, it's just nothing but big.
Yep.
So. Yeah, I'm kind of that same. I'm, being a smaller farmer, people are like, oh, you got to have 2,000 acres. Right? And it's like, no, you don't.
Mm.
You got to have 2,000 acres if you're going to have all brand new stuff.
Yeah.
But, so
Absolutely.
is a semi coming one of these days?
I actually got one.
Okay.
Yep. I was running a wagon last year, but I'm running about 10 miles away from some of my fields, and at 4230 at 18 miles per hour in a 600 bushel wagon just
Yeah.
kind of cumbersome. So same thing, bought a actually decent 2014 Peterbilt for
Yep.
20 grand, 500,000 miles on it, and cheaper trailer, works great.
Yep.
Yep, that's all I need.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff is relatively cheap.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, well, sounds good. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thank you very much.